Maddie Sloane and welcome to Snap Happy, the photography show. In this season, we have some awesome guests who share their stories and tips with us. Peter Eastway returns to give us some more great post-production tips. The Frank brothers from Camera Electronic road test some of their favourite products. We find out what makes the Nokia camera phone stand out from the competition. We learn how to self-publish a photo book, and Darran Leal takes us on an Aussie outback adventure. Let's cross over to him now in the Flinders Ranges.
We're in the Flinders Ranges. It's Creative Week for World Photo Adventures and Australian Photography magazine.
We had a great range of photographers from beginners to more advanced.
And we're all shooting every day. We're doing some Lightroom skills and just getting the most out of your images.
Creative Week for me is about helping photographers get the most out of their photography.
So the first morning we're up before dawn. It's dark, we're setting up the tripods, and it's just about waiting for that perfect light.
Sometimes you turn up and the problem is the clouds are in the way. And this particular shoot this morning, I warned everyone we could get just a couple of minutes of really cool light.
Creating these compositions with this tree, this white tree in the foreground and the mountains in the background. There's not much happening, and then suddenly, you know, the sun comes up over the horizon and the sky illuminates and the mountains illuminate, and there's, you know, it's just fantastic for shooting great landscapes.
I had everyone set up, aperture priority, f11, ISO was 100 to 200 because they're on a tripod, and the outcome for that was that they were ready for that. Really, it was a glimpse in time. They got some stunning photos.
One of the nice things about Creative Week is you get to shoot some different styles of photography than you're probably used to. Yesterday we did some slow shutter photography to get some more abstract photographs. It's just about getting some, you know, nice movement and colour into your images, which is just a bit different.
So we're going to drop our ISO low to 50 if we can, but 100 ISO will work. And we're then going to close our aperture down. In this case, we might go to f16, and we're aiming for a shutter speed that's at least 1/15 of a second. And we're going to have some fun moving the camera with the slower shutter speed on purpose to be creative. Have a look at the results. We're up very early this morning, pre-sunrise, 3 degrees, pretty cool. We're at Razorback Lookout. This particular location is famous for its zigzagging road with the Flinders Ranges in the background. It is a stunning place. And for the group, we've set up with tripods initially because the light was very low. I actually took my vehicle through to add an extra dimension to the scene. There's a road, hey, should have a vehicle on it, and that helped the group get a truly iconic image of this location. We've used our mirrorless cameras, got the, you know, the hero shot, so to speak, but I, at this time, love to use my smartphone as well. So I'm going to use my Nokia to do a panorama of this, which I think sometimes a smartphone can actually do a better job. We spent 3 hours in Bratchner Gorge. It's a stunning place.
You drive into Bratchner Gorge from the Flinders Ranges, and you go from these sort of expansive landscapes to these really sort of tight canyons, you know, with these red rock walls, and it's a really different look.
One of the iconic animals in this region is a yellow-footed rock wallaby. It's not easy to find, blends in so well.
With the rock formations they live in, they blend in very well, and trying to isolate them is not always easy.
So using a long telephoto lens, I've actually put a 1.4 converter on. So I've got 100 to 400 with a 1.4 converter, and I've got my camera set up again to aperture priority, aperture wide open, and that's allowing me to get a fast shutter speed. I'm using 4 to 800 ISO. Our sensors handle increasing ISO levels so well now, I'm not worried about shooting 800 ISO. What I'm concerned about is getting a fast enough shutter speed if that wallaby starts to jump away. Got some stunning photos, have a look. We then moved onto the highway and down to the old Ghan railway system. And there's an old ruin there, and we spent a good 45, 50 minutes there photographing different angles through the windows with the Flinders Ranges as a backdrop. We then moved on to one of my favourite places in the Flinders Ranges, and that is the Qantas windmill, the famous windmill when Qantas had all the choir set up, and that beautiful scene with Flinders Ranges in the background. We're going to target this location a couple of times in different lighting, different conditions, and you'll get some different images as a result.
With the late light, we'll get some images of the windmill moving and just slowing it down and getting some motion into our photographs. It's amazing you can go to the same place 2 times in a row and get completely different photos.
I highly recommend that you consider coming on trips like this. It could be a private trip, it could be with a group, and it could be with a professional photo guide.
Creative Week is great because it pushes photographers to step outside their comfort zones and really be creative with their photography.
It's just a really nice week, it's fun. You get to shoot lots of different things. It accelerates your photography skills. Everything from shooting to editing to sharing your images, which is, what it's all about. It's not just about one thing, it's about all of those things. And I think everyone who's attended has, learned something new, which is really great.
In the next episode of Snap Happy, Darran continues his outback adventure as he travels up the famous Oodnadatta track. Louise Bagger is an international award-winning photographer based in the nation's capital of Canberra. She works with a variety of corporate, commercial and event-based clientele. However, she has a broad genre of skills, including portrait and editorial photography. Louise is not only a fully accredited member of the AIPP, but she's also on the national board. Louise, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Now, you live and breathe photography. What is it that you love about it so much?
I came into photography kind of late in the stage. It was initially a hobby and I transitioned in 2010, so I did training for 12 months. More recently, I've placed a strong emphasis on corporate branding and portrait photography. It's a space that I really enjoy working in. Engaging with my clients who run their own business to create their image from my imagery. So a couple of the guys I've worked recently, they set up their own consultancy business and we did a shoot in Adelaide at a hotel, which was fantastic. They run a podcast, so we set them up recording their podcast and capturing that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, Louise, you actually have a background in the military as well. How did you transition from the military to photography?
Well, it certainly didn't happen overnight. It was a bit of a transition. A few events happened over a period of time. So from a photography perspective, my interest was re-sparked when I was at sea on HMAS Australia. We were up off Darwin and I had a little point and shoot that I bought while we were alongside, and I was up on the bridge wing where we've got the 10-inch signal lamps, and what I saw was the sunset in the lamp, and I found myself cleaning the smudges off, closing the louvers on the lamp so that I could see it nice and clean, and took the shot and actually had it blown up. So my mum had it blown up for my 30th birthday, had it framed, and it still hangs on my wall. So I'm a little bit older than 30 now.
You don't look it, it's fine. Now, you're also on the board of the Australian Institute of Professional Photography as well. Why do you think the AIPP is so important?
Look, it's important to have a national representative body for photographers and video producers. They are both professions that are unregulated by government. So the AIPP also builds on community relationships by engaging with the broader industry. So we collaborate with and for industry partners, as well as also engaging with enthusiasts and hobbyists to become involved and to be able to engage with high-level professionals.
Amazing. Now, what camera system are you currently shooting on?
So I transitioned to Panasonic Lumix 2 years ago, and it was quite an exciting transition. I've never shot with mirrorless before. So it was with the launch of the S1 and the S1R in 2019 that I was introduced to the S1. And I gave it a test run in my studio, and I have to say from the outset I was super impressed by what I was seeing and what I was achieving with my shots. Crisp, sharp, and pretty much a 99% focus hit. Impressive, very impressive. And did I mention the colour?
We're about to see soon. So tell me, what are some of your favourite standout images?
Oh, tough question. I've shot a few, as I said, with the Lumix S1. I thoroughly enjoy shooting with it both in studio and on location. In fact, very recently, even with the S5, now that I'm shooting with that one as well, I did a shoot locally here at Mount Stromlo with a fantastic model, and I think I've got one of my more favourite shots out of that.
So we are set up in the studio, ready to shoot. What is the plan?
I'm going to do a studio shoot with you today using the S5, and I'm actually going to shoot with the 85mm prime lens and just have a bit of fun with it.
We are, I'm excited. Thanks so much, Louise. Stick around, guys, because coming up soon, our studio shoot on Snap Happy, the photography show.
Hi there, I'm Peter Eastway. We're down here on the New South Wales South Coast, and my job for this season of Snap Happy is to show you my approach to photography, which is capture followed by post-production. You can't do one without the other, and the other, the post-production, is for me an awful lot of fun. If you don't have a drone or a helicopter, you can get some really good pseudo aerials just by standing on the shore and looking down. In fact, whether it's in the forest, might be on the pavement, but here at the beach, I'm looking for a pattern shot with lots of shells and rocks, and little bits of seaweed, and then later on in post-production, I'm going to take them back and I'm going to play with their values. I'm going to play with how light, how dark they are, and the colour of the image, just to create a wonderful abstract pattern, something that could look really good up on a wall. Normally I'd probably use a tripod to make sure that everything is tack sharp, but if you ramp your ISO up a little bit, in other words, if you increase your ISO a little bit, so it's a bit higher, you can handhold very satisfactorily. And of course, a lot of cameras these days, they've got image stabilization. One of the things to think about when you're shooting like this is that you're quite close to your subject. And the closer to your subject, the shallower the depth of field. So while I could use a wider aperture like f2.8, f4, I'm using f8, because that's going to give me a little bit more depth of field, a little bit more sharpness on my subject, so that when people look at my photo, the whole of the shell looks nice and sharp. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm pointing the camera directly down, so it's like a plan photograph, like an architect's drawing of a house or a building or something like that. It's looking straight down, and I think that gives it a more of an abstract feeling. You can put a bit of an angle, but as soon as you bring in the rest of the scene or the horizon or the clouds, then suddenly you've just got a low angle photograph. This way, you've got more of a pattern shot, more of an abstract. Photography is all about ideas. I've been the editor of Better Photography magazine, where I've had the opportunity to interview all of my heroes and pick their brains. And so what you do is you pick up a database of ideas and then reapply them. Here we've got a really texture-rich screen with lots and lots of little shells and rocks, and then I've just placed one larger shell, and that's the centre of interest. And so within Lightroom, if we go back to the original shot, you'll see that it's dark and muddy, but that's the capture. But then in post-production, we can do anything we like. And so I've been able to lighten up the background. I've been able to add colour into the shell. If you're interested in how I've done that in Lightroom, head over to the Snap Happy website, where I go through this step by step and show you exactly what I've done. In the meantime, I hope this gives you an idea of what it means when I talk about capture followed by post-production, and how much fun that post-production can really be.
I'm excited because today I'm in the studio with Louise Bagger, and she'll be giving us some tips on shooting portraits. Over to you, Louise.
So one of my biggest tips for portrait photography, whether you're shooting in the studio or on location, is communication with your subject. It is so incredibly important, but not just communication, but making sure that you're coming out from behind the camera. There's nothing worse than shooting behind the camera and not showing your subject your face, and interacting with them is really important. So for my shoot today, I've set up with the Elinchrom Rotolux 100cm Deep Octa, which is a fantastic softbox, and I've also got a strip light as a secondary light. For the background today, I've opted to go for the mid-tone grey seamless paper. Maddie's wearing pink and blues, which look really great against the grey, and we can get great contrast as well. With models with long hair, I love to incorporate a fan into the shoot. It provides a bit of movement, so I can ask the model to shake their head, and then the fan will interact with the hair as well, and it just gives a slightly different look to the whole shot. Shooting with the S5 in the studio, it's a smaller compact camera, still mirrorless, full frame, so there is absolutely no compromise on my final output. So I'm really enjoying shooting with the S5, and whether it's with the 20-60 or as today shooting with the 85mm, it's an easy camera to use. The tracking is spot on the eye, so I can concentrate on the composition, and the general output of the colour is just absolutely fantastic. Shooting with the 85mm, it's a beautiful portrait lens, a prime lens. The 85mm, it compresses the scene, and it's beautiful and sharp. So I'm shooting today with the Elinchrom Rotolux 100cm Deep Octa. It's a beautiful modifier. I've got it positioned above the model. It's somewhere where I like to put this particular modifier, because what it does is it focuses the light on the face and then spills away to the rest of the body. So what I'll do is I'll introduce a backlight, which is a strip light with a grid. And what that will do is it will direct the light exactly where I need it to. It will be on a smaller setting than the key light, so it's just a nice rim light just to give a bit of an accent. What I've also got is a reflector, so just to give a little bit of fill, but it's not an independent light, it's just a little bit of fill light on the silver side, just to fill the shadows a little bit. So while I'm shooting, I'm very aware of the crop that I'm using. I want to get that right in camera. So if I want to shoot the whole body, then I'm going to shoot wide, but if I do want a portrait of just the face or head and shoulders, I will shoot close. I will either zoom in, or with the prime lens, I will walk in myself. I'm really happy with how the shoot's gone today. We've got some fantastic images. Maddie, you're an absolutely fabulous model. So these photos can be used in an editorial, or it could even be for a model portfolio, or even a personal portrait shoot.
Thank you so much, Louise, for joining us on the show and those fantastic photography tips. To find out more about Louise and check out her amazing portfolio, head on over to her Instagram.
My first mobile phone was a Nokia. It was a brick and indestructible. Didn't even have a camera, but it had Snake. Do you remember Snake? Fast forward to today, and not only do the new Nokia handsets have built-in cameras, but they also boast many professional features and even use Zeiss optics. Today we're going to look at the brand new Nokia XR20. The back of the phone features a 48 megapixel wide-angle lens, a 13 megapixel ultra-wide-angle lens and a dual-tone flash. What I love about this smartphone is its photographic capabilities. We've got standard lens, we've got a wide-angle capability and a 2 times magnification for telephoto work. Now, back at the one time, it actually offers 48 megapixels. What a fantastic feature for a photographer. Okay, so something I love to do is find different things on the beach, and here we've got a clump of beautiful fossilized corals of different type. I could do an overall shot with just the standard lens, or if I go 2 times, it zooms in, and then have a look at the macro feature on this. Really, really cool. The Nokia XR20 has a lot of great photographic and video modes. I can't emphasize enough how important this mode is as a photographer. Is we've got the ability to go to Pro mode. Now Pro mode allows us to shoot RAW. How cool is that? We can control white balance, AF control, ISO control. We can control shutter speed, exposure compensation, and we can reset the whole lot. How cool is that? All the modes that a pro photographer needs. What I love about the modern smartphone is the ability to control exposure, and I can do that in the standard photographic mode. So all I do is click anywhere on the screen and it will focus to that point, and then I can drag my finger up or down screen to change exposure. Of course, in the pro mode, I get to do that in a more incremental way on screen. Really, really cool features for a photographer. What I love about smartphones is they can be really quick, creative snapshots. So here, I've got a beautiful leading line, mangroves, the sun, take the photograph, love it. I'm going to change now to Pro mode. So I'm going to go and use RAW, select to RAW, and the same shot, but I've got a bit more play now when I go to process. One of the great features of the Nokia is its durability, its rugged design, and its ability to actually go in the water. Watch what happens. I'm down at the beach and look what's at my toes, a big mud crab. Now this crab could take my toes off really easily. I'm not going to let it do that. What I am going to do is pull out my smartphone, put it into cinema mode, and watch this really cool feature. How fantastic is that? With a solid case and ultra tough display glass, it's scratch resistant, drop resistant, temperature resistant, water resistant, and kid and pet resistant too. What I love about the XR20 Nokia is it's also got a really good panorama mode. I love using panorama modes when I shoot anywhere in the world. It's a simple technique. You go to panorama mode, click the button, and just very steady. There's an arrow even to make sure I don't make a mistake. Finish the exposure, I'm happy. Of course, this camera can shoot in a variety of high quality video modes. These include speed warp, dual sight, action, time-lapse, slow motion and cinema modes. My smartphone goes with me everywhere, and I love to use it not only for still photography but also for video work. It's so important that we record family history. I can't recommend highly enough because you can create lifelong memories. And of course, a part of today's technology is image stabilisation. The Nokia XR20 has excellent stabilisation for both still photography and for video work. It'll stabilise your results amazingly. Nokia's certainly come a long way. I think what places the XR20 apart from its competition is its affordability, its durability and its simplicity. Not only will it physically last a long time, but it will also stay up to date and protected with its 3-year warranty, as well as long-term system and security updates. That's really peace of mind. I find that I would love to have it in my kit also for the Pro mode, to be able to shoot in RAW and do it in such a way that I can control aperture, shutter speed, ISO. It's a great camera. Check it out. I highly recommend it.
Thanks for joining us on Snap Happy. If you'd like to join our community, head on over to snaphappytv.com. There you'll find full episodes from the archives, exclusive content, and of course, special offers from our partners. See you next time on Snap Happy, the photography show.